Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Sports Talk. Today bringing you the week 1 of college football recaps. So I'm going to start out with the biggest surprise for me this weekend was Northwestern defeating number 21 ranked Stanford 16-6. Now, I know Stanford wasn't ranked that great, and they're obviously not a top team, but for Northwestern, I wasn't expecting that much out of them this year. I don't think many people were for the way the last couple seasons have gone for them. And for them to come out and play as well as they did, defensively, they just shut down Stanford. Period. And for their freshman quarterback, Clayton Thorson, he threw 12 for 24 for 105 yards. And let's not forget that rushing touchdown that really propelled them to a win. Just an all-around excellent performance by this team. It shocked me. I was not expecting them to win this in the least. I thought Stanford was going to just blow it out any minute, but give Northwestern a ton of credit, and the coaches, they did a great job preparing for this game. And I don't know, maybe this is the beginning of a very successful Northwestern run. It's hard to tell. I think if they can continue to play that way, they already are better. Just that game showed they are better than what I thought they were going to be. I did not anticipate them, like I said, to even compete with Stanford. So for them to do that shows that they are quite a bit better than I had them going for this year. So I think they're definitely gonna jump like Illinois. I don't think Illinois is gonna do as well, especially after the firing of Tim Beckman right before the season started. So Northwestern, very strong start. If they can just keep the momentum going, they're going to have a pretty decent season. I do have a pretty good feeling about this team moving forward after this win, though. This says a lot about where this program is at, and after having a couple rough, maybe about a bad 1.5 seasons, it's probably just a relief for the fans and everything to come out and win that game. Got to be super excited about this program this year. So that was definitely the biggest surprise for me. And the biggest disappointment this week would have to be TCU. You come in as the number 2 ranked team in the country, and you play an unranked Minnesota team. Now, I know Minnesota is much, much improved, and Jerry Kill has this team playing at a very high level, and the defense is very, very good. But you're the number 2 team in the country. You should be able to beat an unranked Minnesota team by a little bit bigger than 6 points. And not just that, Minnesota had the ball last and had a chance, if they had better clock management, to go down the field and try to score again and win the game. So I feel like TCU should have won by at least 2 touchdowns. They're the number 2 team in the country. They had so much hype going into this season, and to come out and beat Minnesota by 6 points is kind of it's very disappointing, to be honest. Hopefully they can get back on track, because if they continue to play this way throughout the season, they're not going to win the Big 12, and they're not going to make the playoff, because there's going to be someone down the road that capitalizes on the faults in this team. Minnesota almost did, and they're unranked, so they're going to play Baylor, Oklahoma, just teams that played better than they did in week 1. So I do think that Gary Patterson and the coaches there are going to get this team whipped into shape pretty quickly. And like I said, they had better get a move on that, because once they enter conference play, it's going to be a lot more difficult to pull these games off. And I do think that they should have won by bigger than 6 points, but I do think they're a good team. But I don't know if they're number 2 after this week. I think they're more of maybe, if they stay at this level, I think they're no more than an 8. They're a good team, maybe even a 6. But obviously Minnesota is not just an average unranked team. They're very talented, but their offense looked very dull, which was very unexpected for me. So I think they do get better in week 2. I think week 1 is kind of a hard week to see how your team's going to perform, and I think the more the season goes on, teams are able to kind of make the adjustments that they need throughout the season. Week 1 just seems like it's kind of a hard to kind of enter the season when you're a team that's as hyped as TCU is, and just go in and blow someone out. So I do think they're gonna live up to the number 2 ranking at some point in the season. So it may take a few weeks, but I do think they're gonna get there. And now other big headlines from this weekend. How about Josh Rosen, the freshman quarterback from UCLA, throwing 28 for 35, 351 yards and 3 touchdowns. He was electric. They're super, super excited over there about this dude. He played just excellent. So I see a very bright future if they can keep playing off the momentum that they had. And this offense is going to be really good. His receivers seem like they did pretty good. So I'm interested to see how they're going to do against better competition. They were playing Virginia, so how are they going to be able to do against the USCs and the Stanfords and teams like them? And how about Texas A&M's defense? I was expecting a little bit better defense. Ever since they entered the SEC, they've been a dominant offense and kind of a not so good defense. But this year, I mean, the way they handled Arizona State's offense, sure they gave up 17 points, but Arizona State's offense is very good. And to give up 17 points is nothing for that offense. And that defense is so improved. That defensive line, how about that defensive end? Garrett, he was just playing with so much fire. And this defense is going to be incredible this year if they could just continue to get better and stay healthy, and the offense can continue to get better. This team is going to be serious threat in the SEC West this season. And Everett Golson wins the quarterback competition at Florida State. They went on to win big over Texas State, so I think it was the right choice. He has had a lot of experience at Notre Dame, and I think they're going to have a pretty good season because of it. I think everyone's pretty confident in him, and he's confident in his own abilities, which is huge. I'm excited to see how he's going to do throughout the season. And so I want to give my top 4 teams after week 1. This is going to be kind of hard because I haven't seen Ohio State play. They don't play till tomorrow. So I just left them at number 1. They're in my number 1 spot. And in my number 2 spot, I have Alabama, because they played very well. I'm assuming they're going to stick with Jake Coker, the quarterback. He did quite well against Wisconsin. My 3rd spot, I have Notre Dame. They just totally blew out Texas. They looked great on both sides of the ball. So I think they looked like a number 3 in my top 4. Number 4, I have Texas A&M, which is going to be kind of weird because they're not even ranked, but they performed very well and at such a high level. Now, I don't know if they're going to be able to stay at that way, but this week they earned that spot, that 4th spot. So I think those are all very talented teams. I'm excited to see how Ohio State plays, to see if they can, live up to that number 1, unanimous number 1, or if they can kind of fall a little bit. But there were so many teams that stood out as excellent. I mean, you have Georgia, you have Clemson, you have Georgia Tech. I mean, the list would just go on and on. Oklahoma. But my top 4, I feel like these teams competed at a very high level. I'm so excited to see how these teams do throughout the season, and I think they're all going to be pretty successful, but obviously some of them are going to fall at some point. So that wraps this week 1 recap up. So thank you everyone so much for watching. If you enjoy this, please like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video. This is Sports Talk, heading out.